welcome back to the segment. So I had to take a trip to Paris, and to be honest, Paris is just one of those places I can't really put it into words. At the same time, it's definitely not ordinary. It's just one of the places you got to go to just to understand because there's so much going on. And it was a significant trip for me and my sneaker journey on a lot of reasons. But before we get to that, I'll go ahead and say the city might look like one thing, but it's totally another. So when Kanye said his ninjas in Paris, he wasn't lying though. Because when you get there, it's gonna have all this uppity stuff, and it's gonna be like a golden scale. And it's gonna feel like you in one of those high society type places. But to be honest, as much as it looks like that, it's really not. So once you get to the crevices and you start actually diving into the city and going around to the little alleys and whatnot, you'll find a lot of urban culture. You'll find streetwear. You'll find a bunch of vintage stuff. And to be honest, it was kind of cool though, because I want to say for the vintage side of it, granted everybody wants to go for like Gucci and all that stuff. The vintage side surprised me because they had so much variety out there, and people actually mix it up with both things very well. And I want to say one shoe store they had out there actually had by the kilogram. And so kilogram is their metric thing for 1 pound out here. But I want to say a kilogram is a little bit more. So the gist of the story was you can go in there, you can mix and match whatever you wanted, and you can literally weigh it all up. And if it came up to 1 kilogram, you paid 30 euro. And in the same sense, if it went over, say you had 2 kilograms, it was 40 euro, which is kind of both below 60 USD if you kind of add it up either way. So getting to what Paris is really about is really just culture. If I could say anything, it's about culture and fashion and personality and expression because everybody has a swag out there. And when you get there, you notice that swag is kind of heavy. Like it's on everybody because everybody wants to be and look nice and dress well. And it's cool though, because you're gonna see a lot of different dress combinations out there. And it was kind of a shocker to see that everybody had J's on with like Louis Vuitton. It was just like a mix of both worlds together. Like I said, it brought a whole new meaning to expression. And when it comes to expression, I think that at the origin is what the sneaker game is all about. Because at some point they defied the rules and they made a shoe that everybody said, you know what, I can see myself breaking the rules and expressing myself in that. And this is just what the trip to Paris is. And I feel like for me personally, it was one of those welcome to the big league moments where you think you know something and then you get there, you find out something totally different because the wardrobe out there just hits different on so many levels. Like I said before, it definitely woke me up in so many ways. And I want to say the biggest lesson I took out of that trip is never let your expression be limited by expectations. Because the reality is, going there, I thought one thing and I got another. And the shoe culture out there is very vast. It is very deep because everybody knows some of everything. And you got such commodities out there. You got Doc Martens, you got Boots, you got it's just a lot. I couldn't even explain to you how many stores I went to because I only went to half the city. But the other half of the city was just as loaded too, though. But just for me going to half the city, I want to say I spent the whole day. And one thing about the shoe stores too, when you get out there, just understand that every shoe store is like 4 floors. It's 4 floors of stuff just to go into and just look around and browse. And it's a lot of region stuff too, though. I think one thing I saw that stood out to me particularly was the Adidas Samba Mercedes Benz joint. They had to actually collab with Mercedes Benz, which is something out of the ordinary. And even at the shoe store, the Nike, man, the Nike was probably, honestly, if I had to be honest, that probably was the top priority for me. And I'm glad I kind of waited to go last, and it was the last thing on the trip because it had so much stuff in it loaded. And I felt like it was more so like a Nike headquarters because it had like so much heritage and it had history on the wall. It had every shoe made from Air Max. It had the Jordan catalog. It had a lot in there. And I want to say the Aqua 8s came out that weekend. I didn't really want to buy the Aqua 8s, but I ended up getting the Panda joints though. And these Panda joints are actually pretty dope though. Not like the regular Pandas that came out the first time that everybody went crazy for. These are actually worth the hype. I would say no lie. If these would have came out for the first Panda, I wouldn't have had no problem buying them. I probably would have paid resale for them though. But more coming soon though. I'm gonna do a box opening for y'all. And I think my next time I'm going out, I'm going to Switzerland next. But after Switzerland, I definitely gotta go to Belgium first. Because I feel like Belgium has a lot of urban culture and hype stuff out there too that I actually want to check out. But in the meantime, though, for everybody out there, continue your journey, man. Find the shoe that makes you want to express yourself and find your wardrobe and switch it up. And don't be afraid to go around the world. Because I will say, I'm not a big traveling person myself, but at the same time, when it comes to going out and finding shoes and finding stuff I like, I don't mind taking a trip or two though. More coming soon though.
So let's see what we got. We got the boxes right inside. Let's see. Stickers. Oh yeah. I'm fine with that one. That's a real panda. What's wrong with that one tough? Let's see. You can make that box. That's pretty dope. Now I just gotta figure out how to put the damn box together.